Hey guys, it's Nadia from LiaDia Designs and I'm back with another video. Today we're going to be using stencils on our resin coasters to create some really pretty and unique designs. If you've been following me for a little while now, you know that this discussion about stencils has been coming up every so often as I'm considering to make my own. This is not one that I created, but I want to test it out to see how it works and to make sure that it's going to do what we want it to do. So what I've done is I've already poured a few different coasters and I've let that cure. So this way we can kind of see how the stencil is going to work on each of these designs and just to kind of see what type of different styles we can come up with our stencils. So with that, let's get started. So the first one I want to work on is this blue one here. So we're going to just take our stencil and position it to where we think we would like it to be. And I'm going to use some Scotch tape just to kind of stick it down so that it won't move. There are other types of products you can use to hold your stencils down. I know there's like a fixative spray and there's a few other things you could use. I just want to use Scotch tape here just to kind of get the bare minimum to see how this works. And if it works okay, then I think it's fine. If not, then I will definitely test out some of the other types of products. Now, what I'm going to be using to paint on it is this. It's like a glitter paint that I've had actually in my studio for, gosh, it's got to be at least 2 years now. So it's a little bit on the thicker side. It is thicker normally, but it's actually dried out a little bit. So, but and all we're going to do is just kind of tap that on and lay it on pretty thick. We don't want to I mean, you could put it on in a really thin layer, but I actually want to see if we can get some dimension by painting it on thicker. So I'm going to take this, and as you can see, it's tinted blue, and it's actually really glittery, but you just can't really see it on camera here because as it dries, it's going to show more of the glitter as it dries. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish painting all of this, and then we'll try to peel it off and see how it looks. Okay, so we're all set. We're finished painting here. I didn't do the bottom, just I just kind of wanted to leave it as a stem. I didn't want that extra leaf there. So, and it peeled off beautifully. So I'm just going to do here is there's a few spots where the paint just kind of got lifted a little bit. So I'm just going to tap those down, but it worked really nicely. It's very crisp and clear, a little spot there. So I think that one worked out really well. So we'll leave that to dry for a couple minutes and we'll be back to it. Okay, so before we move on to the next design, we're going to have to go over how to clean our stencil. So I have a paper towel here, and I'm just going to place the stencil on top. Now this will depend on the type of medium you're using. So I'm going to be using this isopropyl alcohol, it's 99%. I'm going to be using this to try to clean it. I checked after I started wiping this that it actually could have also just been soap and water would have worked just fine as well. So just check the bottle of your medium to see how they advise to do cleanup on it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish cleaning this off, and then we'll be back with the next design. Alright, so we're going to be using our gloss varnish, our DuraClear with some glitter. I just want to add a little bit more design to this coaster, and I think I'm going to do that as a glitter border around the outside edge. So I'm just going to go ahead, and I've just gone into a really quick time lapse here because I don't think we need to spend too much time going over this. If you are not familiar with how I add glitter to resin, there's a ton of videos on my channel. Just go ahead and check pretty much any of them that you see glitter on. Will show you this technique and what I'm using here and the products that I'm using. So we're going to go ahead and just add a bit of a border, just to add a bit more sparkle to this piece. And this is really tone on tone, so it's going to give us a bit of an elegant finish with a lot of different variances in the texture and stuff like that. So we'll go into a quick time lapse, finish that up, and then I'll see you on the other side. All right, so that one's all set. We'll put it aside while we work on this red one. So this one is half red mica powder and also half rose petals. And so we'll be adding our design to the left-hand side. And I'm going to be using an acrylic paint, but it's a textured acrylic paint. So it's a bit thicker than typical paint. So as you can see, it just holds its own on the brush. But first we'll need to add our tape to just hold our stencil in position. So we'll do that now. The rose petals were a little bit bumpy on the right hand side here, so I need to find a flat spot so that our stencil would just kind of stay in place without having gaps. You don't want any gaps underneath your stencil because that just leaves room for the paint to kind of leak underneath. So we're trying to minimize that as much as possible. So we'll go ahead and tape that down. And of course you can you can cut your stencil along the bottom where I kind of have it overlapping, but I want to keep this stencil intact, so that's why I'm not doing that. But if you know for sure you want a specific size to fit within the coaster, you can definitely cut the stencil to fit your needs there. So going ahead and just adding again a thick layer of this on top, because again I want this to be dimensional. I want to see if it's going to hold its depth if we kind of layer it on top. All right, so we're just about finished here, and we'll be able to peel up our stencil, and again that looks great. Now there's a few areas that just need a bit of touching up, and I'm just going to also extend the stem along the bottom because I want it to go to the end of to the edge of the coaster there. So just going to paint that in, and again just kind of try to make it a little bit textured so it matches, and a little bit of cleanup, and there we go. I think that looks really cute. All right, and moving on to the third one. Again, this is very similar to the second one where we have our gold mica on the left and we had some gold foil flakes on the right. And we're going to position our stencil on the left again, and we'll tape it down. This one I'm going to do something a little bit different. If any of you are familiar with stenciling, you'll know that there's actually more of a standard technique, and that is just kind of more using a brush to stipple, and that's using, so you sometimes use more than one color, so that's what I'm doing here is I'm using two different types of acrylics. One is more of a fabric based paint acrylic, and one is a standard metallic acrylic. So, and I have my stippling brush here that you can see that has a flat base, so you can just see it's very flat, and you're just meant to kind of press that down onto the stencil, and it just gives a really neat texture. Now this is not going to be able to be thick, it's going to be quite thin unless you do multiple layers after letting it dry. So I'm just going to go ahead and just do this just to kind of see what kind of effect we get with the stenciling, this stippling on the stencil. And there we go. I really like how this looked, but again, because the acrylic paint we used for this was thinner, it wasn't as thick as the previous two, there was more leaking underneath the stencil. So we're just going to clean that up. I'm using a little bit of the alcohol to kind of dab that on my brush. It helps me pick up the paint. So just do that, and then we're all done. And I have a couple more designs for you. So this one here, I just used black paint on this gray background. I'm going to be adding in some fine glitter to the left-hand side of this piece here. And this is just another option of how you can create a unique design depending on just kind of the look that you're going for. So again, with the black acrylic paint, I painted it on and tried to keep it a little bit raised, a little bit thicker. So this way, as I add in my glitter, it's actually just going to hold it in place. It's not going to allow the glitter to run too much because the gloss varnish with the glitter is a lot thinner. So it does tend to kind of want to move around a lot more. So we'll just we'll paint around the black areas, and the black paint will hold the glitter in place for the most part. So we'll go into the time lapse and we'll add that in. So again, you can just see another way of utilizing the stencil and creating that look that you want. And for the last design, I couldn't do one without creating something more of a stained glass look. So I have some glitter and some mica powder, which again, I'm mixing in with my gloss varnish. And once again, if you're not familiar with this technique, please check out my other tutorials. I have lots that show how I use my gloss varnish with glitter and mica powders to create all different types of designs, and stained glass is one of them. So we're going to go in and add glitter in some of the areas here, and then also go in on other areas with the mica powders, and I might actually add a third color in here as well. So again, what I did is I laid this silver acrylic paint on pretty thick, so it actually has quite some dimension on it. And then I added in my other stained glass lines, which again you can see in my other tutorials. And I'm just going to go in now. We let those dry, and now we're going to go in and with our gloss varnish and just fill in some glitter and some mica powders into some of the other areas just to kind of give that look. So we'll finish that up in the time lapse. And then once we're done that, we're going to leave everything to dry for about 4 to 6 hours, or until it just, you can touch it and it's fully dry. And then we'll go in and we'll add our top coat of resin. Okay, so it's been about 6 hours, and we're ready to now add our top coat, and just look at how this resin just brings out the acrylic colors, and it does the same for the glitter. It just brings out the shine of the glitter as well. And so I just love this part of the process, just watching how the top coat of resin just really just brings the whole piece to life. So we'll go ahead and finish that up on all of the 5 coasters, and it's only about an ounce of resin is going on top of each one. So once we're done this, we will get the bubbles out, and once again I'm using my counterculture thin viscosity resin, which doesn't hold a lot of bubbles in the first place, so this process actually is a lot easier with this resin. So we'll just go in and just, if there's any bubbles there, we'll just get them out really quickly with our heat gun, and then we're all set. We'll let them cure overnight and unmold them in the morning. And it's the next morning, so we're ready to now unmold these. So I'll just go ahead and take them out. So here's the blue one, and again, this is kind of a tone on tone. So we have different types of glitter and just sparkliness happening here. So we have our base layer with the mica powder. We have our paint that we added in with our stencil, and of course the glitter on the edges. And I don't know why my camera's not focusing. Sorry guys about that. But so there we go. So that is the blue. We'll get another look at these at the end of the video as well. So, but I really like how this turned out. So it's a more of an elegant style. So, and then we have our red with our rose petals. And again, this looks amazing as well. That thick acrylic just worked perfectly for these stencils. So again, if you want to get kind of a dimensional look with your stencil, this is a great way to do it. So it just worked out perfectly. All right, so, and again with the rose petals, just love the contrast between the clear and the solid with the acrylic there. So, and our gold one, let's just get that out of the mold. And there's something really unique that happened with this gold one that I wanted to show you guys. So once we put the top layer of resin on this, just look what happened to the acrylic paint. And it makes it look almost like velvet, like it just with the darker areas and the lighter areas. And because it didn't have as sharp of a line, with the stencil, like it just kind of has a little bit of a softness to it that for some reason just really gives that look of velvet. So, and then of course we have our half and half with our glitter, and I really like this color combination. It worked out really well. So we have that deep gray color with our black, and then the the purple glitter on the left. The cool thing about this one is the black actually deepened in color, which I didn't even think was going to be possible, and it kind of created like a flat black, which looks really neat as well. And last but not least is our stained glass. So let's get that out of the mold. And as you can see, it's somewhat see-through, but it has a lot of dimension here as well. So again, you can use any type of pigments that you want. I have a full video dedicated to the stained glass pigments actually just previous to this one. So if you want to see that, you can see how that works. And just look at how cool that turned out. All right, so we are all set with these. All right, so here are all of our finished pieces. And again, let's take another quick look at them. This red one here, I just really like how the gold has that dimensional look to it and how well it balances on this coaster with the clear portion with the rose petals. I don't know what it is. It just really looks nice together. So that one worked out well. And again, this gold one with that velvet type of look to it. I don't know. I don't know how that happened, but it just worked out so nicely. And I love how it balances with the gold leaf on this piece as well. Just, I don't know. Love it, love it, love it, love it. So I hope you guys like this tutorial and that you like the idea of using stencils with your pieces. And if you did, let me know in the comments which one of these styles do you think work the best with the coasters that I created here, and which ones do you think that you would actually want to try. And if you do decide to try them, don't forget that you can tag me and DM me on Instagram. I'd love to see what you create. Let me know which kind of paint that you use or which one of these styles that you tried to create and if it worked out for you, if the stencils are as easy to use as they seem, and if this is something that you want to use on many of your resin pieces going forward. I definitely think this is something that I'm going to be doing a little bit more on some of my pieces. I have some ideas that I want to try out, and of course I'm also looking at creating my own stencils as well, so let me know your thoughts on that. So in any case guys, I'm going to get going. I hope you guys liked this tutorial, and if you did, again, don't forget to leave a comment and like and share, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks guys, take care, bye.